Hello there, everyone. Okay, just close the door. Right, let's see. Hello, hello. Hello, Karen Johnson. Hello, Jill. Oh, Karen's from Florida. Hello. Hello. Right, can you all hear me? Can you all hear me? I think my microphone is on. Should be working. Hello there, Mary. Hi, Carol. Hi, Lorraine. Hi, Mum. Can you hear me all right, Mum? Can you hear me and see me? Yes, yes. Right, I'm assuming that is everybody. All is good. Okay, thank you, Karen. Karen, is it cold there? Is it cold here? It was this morning. Do you know what? We had a really heavy frost this morning. This is in Ireland. I'm in Ireland. I don't know about the people, everyone in the UK. We'll have to ask. But here in Ireland, we had a super heavy frost this morning. But the sun's out now and it's all melted away. I don't think it's warm, but it's certainly not unusual for this time of year with the weather. Thankfully, I had a bit of a weekend, I must admit. Ah, thanks, Mum. You can see and hear me. That's perfect. Hi, Tara from Canada. Lovely to have you here. Hi, Patricia. How are you? A little bit warmer than last week. Yes, I think there was snow around, wasn't there, last week, Lorraine? It's warmed up since then, for sure. For sure. It's dried up as well. We had Storm Bert came over and caused havoc here. And we had a huge amount of rain. Huge amount of rain. Hi, Rebecca. You're in Newark and sunny there. Yeah, it sounds like you have something similar to what we have here today. Hi, Gillian. Watching while working. Hope I don't get you in trouble. Hi, Suzanne. Okay, let's get started, shall we? I've had a bit of a topsy-turvy morning, so I'm probably not quite as prepared as I usually am. I tidied up my craft room this weekend, and so therefore, well, you all know when you start tidying, it's not always takes a lot longer than you think, and you move things around. And then I went to sit down this morning and I have a lovely tidy desk, but I've moved things around, so I'm not quite sure where everything is, and everything is all in on different sides of me. So yeah, so I'm all a bit at odds. So I just need to get used to my new setup. And also I disconnected the computer so I could just sort of clear my desk and give that a good wipe and whatever. And then I forgot where all the plugs went back in, so things weren't quite working. And the internet's having a bit of an issue this morning. I don't know why. It's going to go slow. Hi, Sandy. Popping in for the first half. Oh, perfect. You know where you can catch up later on. So yeah, so I'm not probably quite as prepared as I usually am, but I've got a good idea of what we want to do. And I thought, while I've still got the chance, because these are in Lisa's sales section, and I have a feeling, don't quote me on this, but I have a feeling these may appear in the Black Friday sale at the end of the week as well. And I think that once these are gone and discontinued. That's the feeling I have. So I just wanted to get one more demo in with them using all the new inks here. Let me just hang on a minute. Let's bring these down so you can see all the colours. So you would have seen from my little poster at the beginning. Oh, where are they? Oh, there we are. That I was going to use the new limited edition inks exclusively on this. So just give this set a bit of a revamp. I've used this set a few times actually. You'll see a couple of videos on YouTube, either in the live section or in the actual video section. If you just pop in sort of Cosy Christmas Home in the Lisa Horton tab, then you'll pick up the videos that I've already done on them. But I just wanted to give them a bit more of a traditional feel with the new colours here, because what I've done in the past, and I don't have the samples because I think I've actually sent out the cards. I've done them in sort of more blues and more sort of modern, fresher colours. So I just wanted to give it a more of a traditional feel today. And also I wanted to create a DL card. So this set, as of many of Lisa's sets, is actually 6 by 6 inch square. So we have the layering stencils and we have the embossing folder. And the embossing folder, we have the dies to cut out the houses individually as well, should you want to. So these are ones that I've stenciled and actually found them in my envelope sitting there. So you can see that you can actually cut out and emboss the houses on their own. I would say this is a 6 by 6 inch set, and what I wanted to do was create a DL card. If I got time and this sort of things are going well for me today, then I may well turn it into an easel card as well. But basically what I want to sort of show you is that you can create a line. You can sort of pattern match these houses quite nicely, and you say it's a set of 2 houses, but I've quite easily sort of embossed and put the 2 sets so it looks like we have a street of the houses here. Now this is embossed, I haven't stenciled these. So yeah, that's my thinking for this project today. Now I've already done some stenciling because this was sort of off the peg, as it were, because this was further on to the cardstock than where my pegs could actually reach. So if I bring out a stencil, you see the stencil actually fit here. This sort of fitted beyond. So I've just done an extra bit of stenciling where I'll just use the markings of the grid that I've got on my silicone mat here to line up the stencils instead. So I'm going to stencil the second set of houses for you now, and I'll be using the peg system here and have them line up. So let's get myself going. Hi, Karen. Kathy, don't forget to emboss today. I'll try not to, Kathy. I really will. I really will. I know I'm terrible. You're right. I need some sort of warning light, don't know. I need you need to say through my screen to shout at me, say time to emboss. I know. I say when I'm working on my own, I do emboss, but when I'm chatting with you, I just sort of get into the flow of things and I just completely forget. So you can see now I'm going to stencil these houses again, and the cardstock is lined up along this particular line here. What I want to do is just shift this across just so as this house isn't overlapping this larger one that I have here. Now I know that my cardstock has been lined up along this particular line on my silicone mat, so I'm going to make sure that that stays in line there, so I know that the houses will all stay on one level and we haven't got a higgledy-piggledy street, which I suppose you could do. I mean, some of the old oldie-worldy villages and whatever, they'd be all over the place, wouldn't they? But for the purpose of this, I just want this all nice in a straight line. Now, I am using just the limited edition colours. So we have the matte blending inks here. So we have Arctic Frost, Merry Mistletoe and Jingleberry. So they come boxed in a set of 3. Look at the colours there. So they come boxed in a set of 3. We also have the interference inks, which come in a set of 3. And I'm using the Yuletide Sky. I may use the Festive Fur in this one, I don't know. But these colours come in a set of 3. Oh, let's surround myself. Let's put these on this side. So we have Yuletide Sky, Crimson Cheer and Festive Fur. So they're the limited edition interference colours. And then we have the limited edition metallics. So we have Copper Pot, Solid Gold and Silver Shine. And I might throw in a little bit of Night Sky for good measure. I think that was available separately, I think briefly on its own, but that came in a I think it was a Spellbinders kit, wasn't it, on one of Lisa's online classes that she done. So they're the inks that I'm using today. So I've used stenciled these houses sort of many times before using other colours that we have, but I'm using these ones today. So let's get stenciling, shall we? This particular set has a set of 9 stencils, so you get quite a chunky pile of stencils here. I bought these in sale and used them once, but I did 6x6 on white card. Stacked them. Oh, that's lovely, Gillian. Yeah, these do actually just look amazing if you just emboss them and cut them out in white, because the detail of them, I'll just show this again. I have this sitting here. That is just gorgeous. I mean, if you were, again, just do it 6x6, so you just have the 2 houses, even if you were just to mount that simply onto a piece of silver card or gold card and put it onto the front of a card blank, it would look lovely. It really would. These are a lovely set to have in your stash. So if you can get them in the sale, then I would definitely advise it, because I think you will find different ways to use them each year. So I'm going to get stenciling now. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the red. So the red house, this is my very first layer. So I'm going to make sure that it is very pale, because I will be layering other colours over the top of this, and I don't want this red to overpower and therefore not allow me to layer any other colours over the top. So I'm putting this on really lightly. Now, this is actually a really lovely red. It looks quite bold in the ink, in its casing there, but it is actually a really gentle red to use, and it builds up very gently indeed. Now, I say this each time I use red. I'm not a lover of red generally. It's just not a colour that I can get on board with and make look good. You know that there's just some of these colours, you know, that you just have an affinity with or not. So therefore I don't use red very often, but there is obviously times when I need to, and this is one of those. But what I do love about this red is that you can build this up so very gently, and you can see that just how gentle that colour is there on the cardstock. So I've that's a nice even blend all the way across. Now I do have a roof here, and I am going to change colour, and I'm going to come in with copper pot. So I'm got my larger stubby brush, and I'm going to take some of the copper pot ink. So this is the metallic ink, and I'm just going to blend that into the roof there. And again, just build this up slowly so you can get a really nice blend going on into that roof there. Again, you don't want it too dark, because you can see from this one that I've already done is that I will be building other colours on top of that. So I don't want to make this layer so dark that I can't layer on top of. Now what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to very gently blend a tiny bit of copper into the top and bottom of these other areas that I've done here. I'm going to do it really gently, and what that's going to do is just create a little bit of shadow, sort of top and bottom on this red. It's only a very small amount, and you'll notice it when I take the stencil away. But I'm just going to do that really gently, just to give those extra areas just a little bit of extra dimension, a little bit of a bit more character. So I'm going to take that away, and you can see there we've just got that tiny bit of shading top and bottom without going too red by using the actual Jingleberry itself. So, did she emboss? Hi, Roberta. No, I didn't emboss first, not this time. I have this piece that I have sitting here. I could have actually embossed. I can actually stencil over the top of this. I prefer to stencil first and then emboss later. But I tend to keep all these little bits and pieces that I have. And I keep them in the envelope, which is what these, I just sort of going on a tangent here, but these envelopes that they come in, particularly the stencils, they are so useful just to keep bits and bobs in. Okay, so stencil number 2, we have the centre of the large house. Now I'm coming in red again. Let's show you on Lisa's packaging here. So the centre of the house, Lisa here has done it blue. I've done it darker red on here, just to give it a point of difference. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come in with a Jingleberry again, and I'm just going to go slightly, a little bit more heavy-handed than I did on that first layer, like that. Now I find that this red builds up very slowly and very controllably. Actually, it doesn't sort of pack a punch all at once. I find it allows you to build up the colour very slowly and gradually, so giving you a lot of control over this. So you can see what I'm doing there with the stubby brush, or the chunky brush that I've got here, and just building that in just from the sides very slowly. So this layer is actually going to be darker than the first layer of red I've put on. And I think what I might do, I didn't do it on the first one, but I fancy doing it on this one. I'm going to bring in some of the Crimson Cheer. This is the interference colour. I've got my blend-in sponge with this. I use my own unique holders for these. You'll be more familiar with the other holders, which I can't find. I think I've put them away. But it's basically the same blending sponges on the end, which work well with the interference. And I'm just going to add some of this Crimson Cheer, which is a red interference ink, because we can see that on the left-hand side. And I'm just going to add that extra bit of red and perhaps just that extra bit of sparkle, because it's got the mica in it, and just sort of perhaps intensify that red colour on this central area. And just put that into the centre there. Again, I'm just building it up really slowly. If you like red and red is your colour, then go for it. You know, go full on, be bold with it. Okay, so for me, actually, that is enough. But hopefully, when I take this stencil away, that you'll see that that is significantly darker to the rest, you know, the first layer I put on. We also have the roof going on here, so again I'm just going to keep the common theme going around, and I'm putting using the copper pot for that and coming in there. Again, you don't have to. If you have this, experiment with your colours. Now I've done these in blues and pinks, and I've also done this in a very different colour way that I have here as well. Sort of these are the Logan berries and the rum and raisin colours with some greys in the background as well. So I'll probably find a way to use those on a card. Also have a little bit of the gable going on here, and I think I'm going to make that stand out with some gold. Just pop that in there like that. Now I can see the benefits of using the metallics and the interference at the moment. You won't be able to see that because there's the light isn't shining just right. But you know, sort of bear in mind, using the metallics, you are going to get that play of light on there, which sort of really brings the whole piece to life. So now you can see what I've got here is the chimneys and sort of some of the accent points here. So I am going to come in with the copper pot for this. Again, what I want to do really is trying to keep these really traditional colours, really warm colours. So I'm going to do the same on this side as well. I'm coming in quite heavy with these because these areas are, I'm using the wrong thing there. There we are. Use a copper pot. There we go. Because these areas are small, we can afford to go in quite heavy for these details here, because they're not going to overpower. But because they are small, we really do sort of want them to stand out and sort of pack a punch and make a difference. So we can take that away, and you can just see here that some of that detail is building on the house there. So now we have stencil number 4, and we have these areas on the gables here, which is the darker areas here. Now this is where I decided to use the night sky I just wanted those to really stand out, and the night sky will do that for me. You can use anthracite, you can use brown. I think we have a tree bark colour, which is a lovely colour to do this in. I've used that before in the past, if I remember right. But to say what I'm using this time, I wanted to just use the limited edition inks. But again, just swap into the colours, whatever you have in your stash, and use Lisa's reference point on the front of the packaging to help you choose the colours. So there we are. That black, or that night sky, really does make it stand out, doesn't it? It just sort of really frames the tops of the houses. I think I really like them. So now we can come in with sort of the windows. Now normally you would use a yellow on this, so you have the glow from the windows, and I am going to bring in this other one again here. You can see from Lisa's that you have like the orangey colour. You can see the ones that I've used here, that you have the yellow in the background as well, which looks really nice. But I'm going to use gold on this one. Now I do need to just clean my brush, because I did pick up some of the copper with it, so I've just got myself a piece of scrap paper there. I'm just working off the excess bronze that I have sitting on there before I pick up some of the gold. Now what I'm just going to do is pick up the gold and just work that back into the bristles, because I don't know if you noticed, but I do actually label all of my brushes. I don't like to sort of swap colours. I like to have a brush per colour. That's just the way that I like to work. We all have different ways, don't we? And I think if you watch Catherine on her shows, doesn't bother her at all. She'll pick up a brush and use it into whatever colour it works, and she'll deal with whatever it gives her, which is quite a nice way to be, because you don't get so so stuck on making sure one's for each colour. But that's the way that I work. So again, I'm using the gold, so it just gives that warm glow into the windows there. So work that in to all of those areas. Now say you could use a yellow or a real light colour. I think that would work really well, but I think the gold works for what I'm wanting to achieve today. So on those areas where you're layering over a different colour, just add a little bit more ink over the top of that. Okay, so that looks really nice, and I can see the sheen of the gold actually, so I think it does work in that sense. So stencil number 6, we can add a nice splash of green. I used Merry Mistletoe on this one, but I think what I might do is come in with the Festive Fur with the interference ink, so we do perhaps have that little bit of sparkle. So again, I've got another one blending sponge for my Festive Fur. Oh, now look at that. That is really dark. That is really going to make an impact, isn't it? So I'm going to come in all of these areas, and the Christmas tree that's in the window here. So remember, I'm layering this interference ink over the gold, particularly where this Christmas tree is, and it's worked a treat. So just because they are speciality inks, i.e. the interference with the mica in them and the metallic with that beautiful sheen, they do blend and interact and can be layered on top of each other as well. Which I think in the past, when we've used speciality inks like this, they haven't necessarily had those properties to allow them to layer, and I think it's possibly made it trickier for people to use, but you know, we don't have that issue with Lisa's inks at all. Anything goes. So I'll just, because I put a lot of ink onto that stencil, I've just wiped that away initially, sort of straight away. Right, we have stencil number 7. So all we can see here, we have the roof of the house going on, we have the front door, tops of the chimney, and we have the detail going into this particular house here. So I think what I'm going to do, we added the crimson cheer, the interference inks, to the centre of the large house. So I'm going to add the interference ink now to this smaller house, just so they've got a little bit of the same treatment each. And that will just layer, and again give that element of mica as well. So let's lay that in. Again, I'm using my sponge. I get on really well with these sponges, actually. I don't mind blending with them at all, but it's possible that you're using your interference inks with the stencil brushes, and that's absolutely fine, and you'll be able to layer those really well. So I think also what I might do, I might continue and just use that interference ink. Oh. So this is the crimson cheer. Let me just put that there for you. So I'm just going in with the crimson cheer all over with stencil number 7, actually. So, and I'm putting that quite heavy. So when this dries, I am going to get that mica that is going to shine out at me. And I find when I'm using interference inks through stencils, the concentration of the mica appears just tipped over into the edge. So it gives you a nice gold outline, actually, which I think is a really, really nice quality. It's almost like you've gone round it with one of those fancy gold pens, and it gives you a nice bit of an outline. So let's take that away. And you can see now how that actually, I can see it better on looking at it here as opposed to on screen. But even layering the red on top of red, it really does make a difference there. Okay, so stencil number 8. So this is where we put the roof onto the larger house, and we put the areas of snow onto the rest of the houses and onto the tops of the windows and things. So you could bring in the opaque white ink. Let's just reach around and find that. So the opaque white ink, again, Lisa's, it's the Cloud 9. It comes in the white thing. This layers really nicely on top of other colours. What I'm going to do is use the Silver Shine. Actually, you know what I will do, just to show you, because the opaque white is a speciality ink. It's not a limited edition, but it is a speciality ink. And what I'm just going to do, I'm just going to show you the effect that it has. And I'm just going to layer over this particular area and just show you just the strength of the white, because again, white ink is so hard to find, and Lisa has done this really, really well. And if you layer this right and build it up, if you put one layer on and let it dry, then come in with another layer, you can really increase that intensity of white. So it's a buildable colour. So I've only done those little areas. So I'm hoping I take that way. Oh yeah, look, you can see it. You can see just how well that layers on top of there. Now, just going to see if we can just zoom in a little bit. Oh, excuse my hand. If I can zoom in. Oh, using the wrong. There we go. There we go. You can see just on here just how we've been able to layer that opaque white onto the red and also onto the gold there. You can see that sitting there. So if you have that opaque white, then that would be a really nice one to use to layer and create those snows. If you don't have the opaque white, what I've done on this one here is use the silver. So that's what I will continue to use. So the Silver Shine. Then obviously with the silver, once you have that play of light on there as well, that is going to give you that effect of it being white. So I'm going to add my silver like so. Don't need to add too much. Now we have the chimney and the snow areas here. This is where I'm going to come in with the Arctic frost. So we're going to have a blue roof, or a blue slate roof. So I'm not going to go too mad with the blue, and I'm just going to build this up slowly, and I'm going to make the edges a lot darker than the rest of the roof. And just where it sort of tips into the aperture here, that's where I'm going to put the concentration of the colour, because what that will do, give the illusion, by keeping the centre of this roof white, gives the illusion that there's snow on there as well. So that's a really nice tip to use. So all I'm doing is sort of brushing in the blue and just tipping it over that aperture. So I'm not having a nice blend all the way across the chimney, but that just gives you that effect that there is snow sitting on there. And I'm going to do exactly the same down here where we have these snow mounds as well. So I'm just using a lot of ink and just blending that over the top of that mound and just tipping that into the aperture like so. And what that is going to do is give the suggestion that the rest of that mound is white. It really is like a just tricking the eyes. So you can come in if you want to with just a little bit along the bottom. I'm not going to go too much because it's going to look quite different to the houses that I've done there. So if I can take that away, you can see just how that illusion has worked with the chimney. You don't need to make that fully blue. You can if you want. Again, this is all subjective. This is all entirely stenciling it to make it look good to your eye. So if you want to do it a different way, then obviously, you know, this is how I like to stencil, and it's just giving you perhaps different tips on how to get started. There is no right and wrong way, of course. So the last stencil we have here is going to give us the detail on the windows and the clock and the window at the top there. So I'm just thinking, oh, and also the little baubles that are sitting on the garlands. So again, yellow would work really well with this if you were using a different palette of colours. I think what I might do, I'm going to come in with the Yuletide sky. Oh, so this is blue with a little bit of mica. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to carefully come in across the garlands here. And that's basically giving us the baubles and the decoration on those garlands. So I'm putting plenty of ink in there, so it's going in to those small little pinholes that we've got. Now, before I continue, I'm just going to take that away, and I'm going to clean the blue off the stencil, because I don't want that colour blue going into my windows. So of course, working on the ultimate here, it means I can take my stencils on and off and my work isn't moving. This silicone mat, I have got the confidence that that is clinging to my work, so I know my cardstock isn't moving. But you can of course use the tacky mat for that exact purpose as well, and you know that that will cling to your work a lot more. Now I think what I'm going to do, I thought about this, and I'm coming in with extra gold to bring in those details of the windows. Now I say, if I was using a yellow, then I think that I would be able to create the look on these windows perhaps to be a lot more prominent, but that's not the colour palette I'm working with today, and I think the gold will work, and it's going to give us a lovely sheen as if the lights are on in those windows. So that's those. Oh, can't pick that up. Okay, let's take that away. Oh yeah, you can actually see the detailing in those windows there. And you can see the difference in the houses actually. I've gone far darker on these ones than I have here, but I don't think that matters at all. Houses are all different after all, aren't they? So I've finished that stenciling now. So what I can do, I can pick this up and hopefully I can turn that so you can see the beauty of that gold that's coming through. And even though I've used the gold on the windows here, I really do think that that still gives you that warm glow from the windows. So I think that's worked really well, and you just see how that light catches that. So that is a completely different look to the fresh pink and blue colours that I would normally, or that I've done on other videos as well. And pretty. I can look at that all day. Okay, so that's my stenciling done. So now we need to think about how we put the card together. Okay, let's get them out of the way and move my ultimate. Now, usually I have my trolley where I put everything, it's all on my right-hand side, but I've moved it all and it's on my left. So I feel totally thrown out. Give it a week or two and that'll all feel normal to me. So I have my DL card. It's a standard card blank with a fold along the top. So because of the nature of the design and what I'm using here, it's going to be like a 10th fold, so the fold is going to be at the top. And I'll just show you the dimensions if you're unfamiliar with the DL card. And I have my new T ruler as well. So we have, it's 21 centimeters wide or in height and by 10 centimeters. So 21 by 10. Let's put that to one side. Now, what I do need to do, I've got my cardstock out. Where did I put that? There it is. So what I need to do is to line the front of my card base. So the way that I do this, it's just simply done. There are dies, Lisa does have dies for this, but the way I like to do it is just to take a piece of A4. Now a DL card is the same height. Right, let's start again. So the height of a DL card is the same as an A4 width. Does that make sense? So, and you can cover the front of 3 DL cards with 1 sheet of A4. So that's how I like to cover the front of my cardstock and my card blanks. Oh, things flying everywhere. Okay, so that's basically the cardstock or the front of the card. Now I did say that I am going to do an easel card. So I was just looking for my scoreboard. I have a scoreboard on the back of my Ultimate, of course, which is what I'm going to use. Okie doke. So what I want to do is to take my card blank and score. So it's going to be sitting this way. So I need to create a score right across the width here, halfway. So I know that the width of the front of my card blank is 10 centimeters, which I can see along the top of my Ultimate here. If you find that that doesn't work, perhaps the easiest thing to do, particularly actually if you have the Ultimate without the markings on now, which I know Lisa has done. Now, where did my, oh dear, moved, oh there it is. Okay, so I'm basically going to make a 5 centimeter mark there and a 5 centimeter mark there. And if I join these 2 points with my scoring tool, I know that I have the right line. So I'm going to get my scoring tool. And make sure that my points are lined up in the right grooves there. Okay, and make that score line through the centre. There we are. And sitting this back onto your desk, fold that inwards, really burnish that. This is going to be the mechanism for your easel card. So if you turn that around that way, that is the shape that you're aiming for. And then the piece of cardstock that I cut to cover the front of the card is going to be attached to the front of this piece here. Now, if you didn't want to make an easel card, then you could, of course, do all of this and just attach everything flat to the card. So then you have a traditional opening card, but it really doesn't take too many extra steps to create the easel card if you haven't done it before and you want to create something a little bit different. Now, if you are making the easel card, then make sure that you only attach or add the glue to the bottom half of your card blank like this. And I'll show you why. It means that if you were to add glue to this section as well, you would attach that down, and then you would have lost your easel mechanism. So if I turn that around, you can see the advantage of only adding the glue to the front half there. We need these two pieces to work independently of each other. That's if you haven't done an easel card before, but I'm pretty sure that many of you watching will have. What's that? The gold is so effective. Do you like the set you're using? Oh, the house set, Mum. The houses are lovely, and the fact that you can make them so many different ways, I think, is just great. Right. Now, obviously, what we need to do is start thinking about how we cut this down to size, and also we need to emboss these as well. But we shall do that in a minute. We shall cut these down to size first. Now, what I am going to do is find myself a set of Lisa's DL nesting. Excuse me a second while I reach over. So I'm going to take not those ones. We've got the nesting DL dies. You can see my shoulder there. That's because I've got a bookcase in front of me, and that keeps all my sets there in front of me so that they're all in vision. What I'm going to do I need to prepare this section to fit onto the front of the card. Right. I'm going to take my trimmer. I'm going to cut this down to size initially. So I'm going to trim just above the chimneys there. So we don't need this section. And then I'm going to turn this around, and I'm just going to trim along that just the base of that snow line there. It gives me a really nice straight reference point. And then before I continue, I'm just going to even up the houses so they look more central. So that means I'm just going to cut this area off here so it sort of mirrors the one that's on the other end, so it doesn't look odd. So again, this is perhaps just the way that I would create a card. I sort of make it up as I go along. I don't necessarily work to measurements, but what I do is constantly refer it to the card that I'm making here. Now you can see now that this fits far better onto the front of our card blank. I'm just going to bring in the DL die. I don't think that's going to work for me, so I'm just going to work with what I have here. Now you can see if I line this up, I want a nice even border around the outside, so I'm going to set that like that, and then I'm just going to mark the edge of the card on both sides here, and I'm going to make a cut. And it's basically, I'm taking off the bottom of the houses. So I'm just going to make sure that everything is all nice and straight. That should all be nice and straight. Yep. Okay. So I'm going to match up those two marks on either side of the trimmer and take off the bottom of the houses. Now this may not sit nice well with many of you, but really let's not worry about that too much. Now that we've done this, now this is the time to actually emboss. Now I'm sure that Kathy there is probably shouting at me, time to emboss. And I suppose in theory I should have done this before I cut that strip off, but that's fine. That's fine. What we can do, even though we have our houses which is longer than the embossing folder, that's fine. I can line up the houses to the embossing folder that I have here, okay, which works really nicely. I'm going to run this through my die cutting machine, but I'm not going to go past the edge of this embossing folder, because what I don't want to do is create an embossed line down through the middle of this house. So to do that, I'm going to bring in my machine and make sure I'm zoomed out so I have the space. I'll bring in my machine. Now, excuse the state of my plates, they really are a mess, but they're well loved. So I'm going to bring my sandwich of plates that I'm going to use. Because I'm using the Sizzix, I just need to use the 2 base plates and 1 of the cutting plates. Now, to make sure that I don't get an embossed line down the centre of this house, I'm going to line up my embossing folder at the back end of my plate sandwich here. And that's going to ensure that I'm only going to emboss these areas that are sandwiched between the plates. So when I put my top plate on there, you can see all the areas that are not between the sandwich, so therefore they won't get embossed. So that is how you can ensure that you can emboss something larger or wider than the embossing folder that you're using. So that's gone through. If I show you this now and take this out, we have embossed these first 2 houses. I'll show you on the back here, but there is no extra line on this side here. But what that does mean is that we can line up the embossing folder for the next 2 houses, like so. Now we want to place the embossing folder so that the areas that we want to emboss are sitting between the sandwiched plates. Now you'll see that there's a house here that I've already embossed. It is actually sitting in the folder. But when I create that sandwich, I can make sure with this top plate that this house is not sandwiched between all of my pressing plates. So therefore the embossing on this particular house will still remain while embossing the next 2 there. And hopefully that makes sense to you, because it's all about the pressure of the sandwiches, really, of the pressing plates that creates that embossed detail for you. So I'll bring that back and I can remove that out the way. So when I take this out, and I'll show you on the reverse actually, we still have this house, which is perfectly embossed, but not over embossed, and we was able to create these two. So now we have 4 stenciled and embossed houses that are ready to sit on the front of the card, like so. Now, when I created this, I wanted the houses to sit at the bottom of the card there. Now you can go ahead and actually emboss this area here. Although we cut off the bottom of these houses, what I forgot to say is that you do actually want to keep this. You don't want to discard that at all, because what we want to do is use this as a stopper for the easel card. So I'm just going to mat and layer this onto the same colour that is on the front of the card blank. And bring my trimmer in as well. And normally, I don't know about you or how far many of you are with your Christmas cards that you're making for this season. Normally I'm rushing to get all of mine done, but what I found this year doing all the lives with you and I've been really organised, and I've actually made most of my cards that I need for this season with you all. So it's really helped me no end doing these lives. So I'm just going to get a piece of red so I can mat and layer the houses onto this as well. Now, apologies, because I say what I should have done really was have all of this pre-prepared. I usually do, but one thing or another this morning just ran away with me, to be honest. So I'm doing it with you now, but you can see how I work and how things come together. And we all have our own ways of matting and layering, of course, and hopefully you don't mind watching me. I'm going as quick as I can. Actually, no, I want to do that right to the edge. Okay. Now, what you could do, of course, I've left all my houses all attached together on this one piece. What might be nice, or what actually would be nice, is if you were to cut all of these out individually. You could possibly even do more and die cut them out, and then you'll be able to create even more of a scene, and even put layer houses behind it as well. And then that way you'd see all of the coloured cardstock showing through. You'll be able to create something of a night sky as well. So you'd have all the detail in the background of these houses as well. So there's lots of different ways to be able to do this. But what I wanted to show you is that you can stencil and create a longer scene, as it were, just from a 6x6 inch card blank. Now, what I'm going to do before I add that next section, I'm going to line the inside of the card just to make that all solid. So the same way that I lined the front of the card blank, I'm going to do the inside. I think what I might do, just to speed it up, I'm going to add the glue to the inside of the card. Again, apologies, I would normally have had all of this prepped for you. Now I'm lining the inside of the card, but again, what you could do is you could cut this out first and emboss this as well. So many different possibilities. There's we've got DL embossing folders where you'd be able to create a pattern on this as well. This is going to be quite straightforward, but just so as I can get to the finished card for you. So there we are. We have the easel card. So this is how it would fit into an envelope. It all lays flat, and I can layer my houses onto the front of there now. Now what I want to do is layer this evenly at the bottom of this card. And there's a reason for that. So that when I add this piece down here as a stopper, the sections of those houses match up with each other as well. You see, so there's a thought behind my madness. Now, what did I do with... There they are. Ooh. I'll bring in my 3D foam pads, because we want to have some dimension to this bar here, because this is what is going to keep the card from closing. So that is the idea of the easel card. So I can put my 3D foam pads in, and then we can just add our easel. Oh, it can be wherever you like actually, but I think I might put this further up here, which will give me the option to add a sentiment at a later date. So if I can add that there, it means the houses will sit alongside that stopper, and basically you have the whole house sort of reconstructed again. It's very hard to show you an easel on these screens actually, but you can see the way that that works, and it gives you an option there to fit a sentiment on at some stage. I think I might leave it blank at this stage until I know who I'm going to give this to, and I don't want to keep you too much longer than I already have. So hopefully that has given you some ideas on how to use these layering stencils. It's given you hopefully some ideas on how to extend your 6x6 designs into something very different, into a larger size. You're not restricted as to what Lisa's given you, and hopefully I've given you some ideas on how to layer and just different color combinations. Now what I will do is give you a rundown of all the colours that I've used. I shall list that under the video in just a moment, so that is always there as a good reference point. So I shall leave that with you there today. Now this week is such a busy week that there's only one live from me this week, but there's more than enough to keep you busy sort of viewing wise. And what I've done is just giving you a quick reminder of the timetable that's coming up. So you can see that on Thursday that we have Sharon on Hobby Maker with sale shows at 2 and 4. So that's the reason I'm not back with you Thursday, which is absolutely fine. It'll be nice to see Sharon, Sharon's take on the demoing Lisa stuff as well. So it's nice to have Sharon as part of the team. I met Sharon years ago actually. Yeah, years and years ago. I think we started off sort of crafting in the industry pretty much the same sort of time. But you can see also that we have Catherine with the live shopping event on Facebook later on this evening. So busy day today. Catch Lisa tomorrow for live shopping again for Spill the Tea. So there might be some more information about the Black Friday event that is happening on obviously Friday as well. So do catch up with those and make sure you tune in. But thanks so much for joining me today. I hope I've given you some ideas on how to use Cosy Christmas Home. I look forward to seeing some of your samples in the group, and I shall see you all again next week. So take care, everyone.